Good afternoon, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza, and time for the track guide for the final round of TNT Season 40 in the GT40. And for this final race, we're going to Le Mans on the old Mulsanne. So probably not not a lot of technical stuff to go through since most of the lap you're going to be spending full throttle, but again, just kind of what I'll do is take a. I'm not going to do the outlap demo because kind of almost on. It's still Le Mans. It's still a pretty long lap, but I'll do kind of a slower lap. Just kind of point out the things that I'll be looking for. Kind of what my intentions are to get this GT40 around the track. That seems to work for me. That'll go into a kind of a mock race and kind of put what I think I need to do to the test, and then add in some questionable racecraft against the AI, and we'll see where it goes. But let's go ahead and get started and do the test drive. So old Mulsanne, again, before we even get to Mulsanne straight, but heading down to the front straight towards the Dunlop curve here, you'll be in fourth gear. And when I get up to speed and into rhythm, I will start kind of cheating out as much as I can, as much as I dare over the white line. Again, it's really just trying to open up this right-hander so I can carry a little bit more speed through. Make the turn less severe, and upset the car. But what I'm looking for as you're coming down here, as I'm positioned here, you kind of notice, you can kind of see that the course condition kind of light that's kind of out over what will be our pit exit lane on race night. That's usually the first thing to spot first. It's a good reference about where we're committing to turn in is going to be. And that tends to line up with, as I'm racing up here to the corner, you can kind of start to see these white hash marks out, straight here in front of me, to the left of the white line. It's that first one. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm going off of to roll out of the throttle and turn in for the Dunlop turn here, heading up to the chicane. So it'll be a release of the throttle. And again, I'll start arcing the car in, and I'll be off throttle at this point. It's really just letting the car do the work, letting the steering kind of scrub the front and slow the car down. Still in fourth gear, no need to downshift. If you do it right, the car should settle in nicely, and I'm going to try and keep it as much to the right as I can, because it's really, if I roll back into the throttle at all, it's barely long enough to get any momentum going, because as soon as I'm set, it's more important for me to be on the right side, because I'm going to immediately start braking right about in here. It's kind of correlates to where that total sponsor sign is, and where the second course condition kind of light. I don't know what spacing on vocabulary for what I would call the pole or the framework, or the sign or whatever. But it's between those two total signs. Probably will be braking for the Dunlop chicane. So fourth gear, brake down to second. And again, left-right chicane. So I'm going to compromise the first part of the chicane. Try and keep it as much as I can. Try to keep it center or a little left of center. To open up the corner for the second part for the right-hander, and then I'll be flirting with track limits on this curbing. You can get on this curbing a bit. It won't really upset the car. Again, it's much like most of the other tracks. For me, I'm usually not even going to be on throttle or barely on throttle at apex if I'm going to get on the curbing. It won't be until I know that I'm off the curbing and that I've got the car kind of set where I need it to go. That's where you'll start to see me roll back into the throttle. Exit curbing on the outside here, as you can see, it's kind of nice and bumpy. If you get on it straight, should be fine. Then you can roll back into the throttle and bring it back across. You might just feel the car get a little wobbly, but I haven't had any instances where I've gotten on that curbing, and then as I'm transitioning off or getting back to full throttle, where the car's hooked on. So second gear up to third gear. The fourth gear shift, for me, I like keeping it to the left side as I'm heading down into the S's. the fourth gear shift is right about where the curbing, at least for me, is right about where the curbing here on the left side ends. And you know, the car is going to get this next section of the S is heading on to Tet Rouge and onto the Mulsanne. This is going to be one of the areas where the car is going to be a little tricky to handle because of the elevation changes and the weight shift left and right and some of the bumps that you're going to hit. So what I'm finding here is the front does get a little light transitioning over, and as soon as you start heading downhill, right about where you're going to shift, I'm also needing to actually start to turn the car to the right and move the weight of the car to the left side of the car. So sometimes this shift, if I try to do this shift full throttle as I'm going over, the rear tires will spin up going into fourth gear, and the back end will just get a little bit unsettled for a moment. So one of the things I've been kind of playing around with to mitigate that is for that third to fourth gear shift as I'm cresting the hill and starting to turn right, is as I shift, I'm just off the throttle and immediately back on. Even with manual with clutch, it's just taking the torque out of the wheels to get into fourth gear a little more smoothly. That seems to help the car there. But sometimes as well, if I can do the shift to fourth, even if I do it a little early with the car straight before I start turning in, sometimes that works as well. But even there, on the turn in, I'm going to probably ease off the throttle and just kind of, and again, you're going to hear me say this a lot for this track, let the car do the work. I'm just going to ease off the throttle and use the throttle to kind of balance the front end. If it feels like it's starting to push a little bit, just take a little more throttle out. If I feel the car is set, I might start, adding throttle back in, and it's really just me finding out what's the front doing. But I'm also trying to do it in a way that isn't going to cause a huge amount of weight shift that's going to unsettle the car. So it should be very, very smooth. If you see me stab at the throttle, it's because then I'm absolutely certain I can go to full throttle and not upset the car. So still in fourth gear at this point, balancing the car, trying to keep it to the right, because what I'm looking for with the braking line, what I'm also correlating it is, you notice in looking at the track here, as you go up, you can see kind of the tire marks that are going off to the left, but you can see that first really dark patch on the asphalt. I'm going to actually bring the car up and stop right in front of it. This patch of tire marks and discoloration on the pavement. Let me back up so you can see what that looks like from distance. That's what I'm looking for as far as to help correlate with the braking line as best I can. So I'm looking more at that than what the braking line is doing. But as I'm getting to that in fourth gear, it's a quick dab of the brake, dab the brake to slow the car down. I'm actually downshifting to third to get into the chicane, into the S's here. Now, my intent is, and I'm going to stop the car here. If you noticed, and just in looking at the chicane, it's banked going in, and then in between this left turn and then the right turn through these S's, it crests. So you're banked into this one, you're going to crest out, and you're going to bank into the next one. And there are some bumps. This is one that, depending on how aggressive you are going through here, you can get caught out. The car might do something funky. For me, especially in the second part of the chicane, sometimes I turn in, and the car turns in a lot quicker than I expected to. So usually, what I'm trying to do is late apex this first part, this left-hander, so that I'm kind of lined up here as I'm rolling back into the throttle, and it might be just a slight roll back in. I'm trying to go straight across if I can. That's my intent. And I might cheat a little bit. I might move it a little bit to the left here before turning in. But then as I crest it here, you might feel the front end get a little light. I'll roll out of the throttle to help the car turn in. And then again, it crests on exit out. So that, I think in some cases, those S's are harder to get through consistently than the Porsche curves, because the Porsche curves are so much longer. As far as the turn, you're in the turns much longer. It's easier to balance the car through. That's tricky. But you do want to get a fairly good exit. I'll be in third gear here. Might be up to Might be up to fourth. Actually, yeah, I'm in third gear through here, heading up, heading up to Tete Rouge, which leads on to Old Mulsanne. I think for me, even though I'm only in fourth gear for a moment, because you'll bang third gear at the rev limit right before you're going to brake and turn in for Tete Rouge. I've actually been putting it in fourth, and I think for me it's just my own rhythm. I'd rather be in fourth for that second break and downshift to third to do the turn in for Tete Rouge. So what I'm looking for is I'm getting the car lined up here on the left. I'm looking for the course condition light here on the left. Just as I'm passing that, that's where I'm braking. If I'm in fourth, I'm downshifting to the third gear. And then I've got my eyes looking at the inside curbing here for Tete Rouge. Again, car's going to go where you look. So try and get that spot at where that's at. And peripherally, I'm also looking where this extra tarmac here on the left ends, where it goes to grass. Because as I'm passing that, that's where I'm going to really release the brake and turn the car in. And I'm just trying to do enough braking so that when I release the brake and turn the car in, I'm carrying as much speed as I can into Tete Rouge. So it'll be brake, 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 just as I pass this release and turn in. I am going to clip the inside curbing a little bit. I'm not going to be on the gas at all until I get to about the apex here, and then I'm going to start rolling back in. And if I do it right, I'll be able to bring the car out to the left side here and not get on the curbing here or the sausage curbs beyond it. Obviously, if you're on the sausage curbs, you're risking time penalty. But even this inside curbing here, just the way it's ridged, and how much speed you're carrying through, and you still have a little weight shift on the left side of the car. It's enough that it'll bounce the car around a bit, and especially we're running low to the ground as well. So try and stay off these outside curbs if you can. Ideally, if I've done it right and I've carried maximum amount of speed, I'll probably tend to stay to the left a little bit. I might, depending on my mood, I might treat this corner onto the Mulsanne kind of as a corner, maybe bring it back to the right a little bit and apex it, and then bring it fully out to the left once I'm on Mulsanne. That's up to you. I don't know that it makes that big of a difference, but certainly in your practice, really practice getting consistent, carrying as much speed as you can through Tete Rouge that you're comfortable with, and getting back on the throttle as soon as you can. Because getting onto the Mulsanne, again, there's no chicanes, so the faster you are out of this chicane, the quicker you're going to get to terminal velocity, and the longer you're going to hold that. So again, we're on to Old Mulsanne, and in my own testing, draft or not, I don't think you should use sixth gear at all. In my own testing on the Mulsanne, I'm topping out. Again, it's longest straight that we're going to run in this series with this car. You're gonna hit the aero wall about 191 by yourself. If you can get a drafting buddy, you might be able to get up to 193, 194. So strategy for the race: if you get on the Old Mulsanne, I know we all want to race to the front and get past people, but this might be a case where discretion is the better part of valor, and strategy trumps everything, and just tuck in behind a guy and just two of you draft up the Mulsanne. That 3 to 4, that 2 to, well, yeah, 2 to 3 mile an hour advantage can pay off, especially if you're trying to gap the guy behind you that's not in the draft. The other thing I want to point out too is the other subtle thing I've noticed with going up the Mulsanne. There's, again, the road's crowned, so the front end's going to wander a little bit. So you'll probably be doing small adjustments to keep in a straight line. The other thing I've noticed, and especially it's not so much here because I think most of us are going to be to the left side as we pass the first chicane. But if you're on the inside, you might notice it's going to bump a little bit more because the way, again, the entry and exit to this first chicane, it is a little bit banked, it is a little bit crowned. So as you kind of go through it, you might notice, especially on the right side through here, as you cross over where the chicane merges back onto the Mulsanne, you might notice the front end a little bit of a the lift, as it kind of jumps down into it. When I do the mock race, maybe I'll try that one time, just so you can kind of see how it goes in. It's really not that I notice it. You may not, but it's the second as you pass where the second chicane is. That's where the fun begins on the Mulsanne. But for the most part, if you can tuck in behind somebody, practice that on Tuesday. Get into some drafting. Get used to being that close behind somebody for that long a period of time. Get used to having someone on your butt down the Mulsanne that way as well. Where things are going to get interesting, especially if you're going to do bump drafting, is as you get to where the second chicane is. As I noticed, I said how the transitions where that chicane exits and then rejoins. There's a little bit of bumps at the first chicane. There's a lot through here. So you'll notice it as you're at speed coming through here. You're really going to notice the bumps, especially as you can already even just kind of see here going slow, especially right there. There's some big bumps. At the speed you're going 100, 191 to 194 depending. You're going to be hitting them straight. As long as you're hitting them straight, should be fine, and you should be fine to go flat out through this corner, this kink here, to finish out the lap. If you are in the draft with somebody, and if you're behind somebody, probably is a good idea just as you get to the second chicane, just to crack the throttle just a little bit, back off the guy's bumper so that you're not pushing him through the corner. If he has a problem, you're not going to spin him out. You're not going to get caught up in it. And you're not going to cause anything. Kind of similar to kind of how NASCAR, how they run bump drafting at Daytona and Talladega. Find a bump draft as you're heading down the straights or like that. But as you're getting to the corner and going in, back off a little bit. Don't push the guy into the corner, especially if they're not used to having someone that close behind them. So, but again, what I may even start doing as I'm getting to this corner, I may cheat to the left a little bit. Again, the wider I can make the entry, the smoother I can make the turn in. And you really don't need to turn in all that much. You should be able to do it full throttle. Let the car come all the way back out. And again, you can use a lot of the, I haven't even tripped off the time penalty yet. There, you practically get the car completely off the racing surface before you get a time penalty. So finishing off the Mulsanne, into Mulsanne corner. When I get into rhythm, I will be, I probably will start crossing over the line a little bit to open this up. What I'm looking for is, and you'll notice if some of the other faster guys may do this as well. For me, I want to brake in a straight line as much as possible, get my braking done, release the brakes, and then turn the car in for the corner. So what I'm looking for is you can just barely see it there. You can see kind of the inside curbing for this little kink right before the corner. I'm aiming for that. So probably as I'm passing the 50 board, I'm going to start beelining it so that, quote unquote, the apex where I'm looking for is where that blue and yellow striped curbing ends. Not where it starts, but where it ends. Because that's going to kind of put me on that straight line to get my braking done to then turn on the Mulsanne corner. So braking is going to be pretty late. I think you could brake as early as here. This might be a little bit early. I think I might start pushing it. I might try braking just as I'm getting here to the end of this curbing. Fifth gear, heavy braking. And what it's going to do is, if I do it right, and I'll do a little bit of steering, is I'll be on the brakes, but I'm going to bring the car out, again, crossing the white line, get it down into second so that I can release the brakes in second gear and turn in, cut the corner here, and roll back into the throttle. And you can use a little bit of that exit curbing second gear. It'll look a bit different on Thursday because we won't have the tire barriers at the apex of the Mulsanne corner. But that's what I'm looking to do. Also leaves me open for someone to try and dive bomb me if you're that close behind me. But that's the other thing to talk about with the Mulsanne corner. Same thing. If you're right on somebody's butt, back off a bit early as you're heading down to the braking. Give yourself a gap to the guy in front of you. in case they make a mistake, in case something happens, you don't want to get caught up in it. You don't want to cause anything, nor do you want to get caught up in anything. So it's usually best to back off a little early, especially there. So again, I forget if they give this name straight a name or not. But heading down to it again, it's got two curves. Apexes are almost kind of pointed out by the gantries, the sponsor gantries that go over the track. So that kind of tells you where the apex is. And usually, yeah, I'll cut that. I even get a couple of tires on it. Again, might be back up to 5th gear at this point, but heading down into Indianapolis. Actually, yeah, heading down. First part of this isn't Indianapolis. The second one. Well, what I'm looking for braking here on the braking reverse. The braking boards are pretty. You should be able to spot the braking boards. For me, the braking 200's too early, 100's too late. It is what I've actually been doing is, if you notice, I'm going to center it up. See that tree that's right at the edge of that short little tree that's right on the other side of the Armco barrier? That's what I'm looking for as far as where I'm braking for this first part of the first corner here. So it's brake here, downshift to 4th, and then I'll probably release right about here to arc the car in. If I've done it right, I should be maybe about mid-track, but I'm trying to keep it as much to the right as possible to set up for Indianapolis. A lot of times too, you might, if the guy keeps it to the right here and you've got a lot of momentum, you might be able to carry speed to the left and get on their inside for Indianapolis, but then you really got to make sure you've got the braking down for that corner. So 4th gear, I'll brake here down to 3rd. You do want to try and get as wide out as you can for Indianapolis. Stay off that curbing, especially because what you're going to be trying to set up for as you're braking and releasing the brake in 3rd to turn in. Kind of what I had happen at Mugello. It's like you get the rights on, you get the right rear on that as I'm turning in. It might be enough to unsettle the back end and kick it out a little bit and hurt your speed. But again, for me, this is 3rd gear and Indianapolis. In, roll out. Might get on the exit curbing here, race down, probably leaving it in 3rd, heading down towards Arnage. Braking for me, the 50 board is too late. I'm actually kind of keying off of the light pole that's just before the 50 board. That seems to be, as that's going out of view, that seems to be about where the ideal place to really get on the brakes. So Arnage is 2nd gear corner. This is another one where I tend to try and, again, it's like I always try and cheat and trying to make the entry as wide as possible. But this curbing, especially with the splitter and how low the front of the car is, that blue and yellow curbing on the left side, you hit it, if you get over just enough, it's possible that you'll hit it and it completely upsets the car and it'll kick the back end out. And there's no warning whatsoever. So, move out here at your own risk, but I don't know. But the funny thing is, it doesn't look like there's anything here, but there is something that will catch the car. You'll hear a thunk, and then the car's just going to pitch sideways. Because again, you got to remember, you're on the brakes at this point, so all your weight's on the front. So the front's even lower than it normally is, and the back end's pretty light. So try and, as much as you want to try and cheat to the left to open this corner up, just know that danger's lurking there. Down to 2nd gear again, turn in, cut the corner a little bit, roll back in. Now heading down towards the Porsche curves. On the mock race, the AI, I exit to the left here and I usually just keep it to the left. The AI will start to move to the right to set up for the next corner. That's the line they take. I kind of like what I do at Monza. I'm just going to stay to the left. And then as the road turns, I'll turn it very slightly and just then let the car drift out to the right here. Kind of minimize the amount of steering I'm putting in. And then it sets up, and I'll start bringing it back to the left as we get ready for the entry to the Porsche curves. Where I am braking is between, see that tree, that lone tree right there? As that goes out of view, and right before I get to the telephone wires here, the wires crossing the track, this is where I'm braking for the entry of the Porsche curves. So again, I think let's see, fifth gear. So yeah, it is a brake and downshift to fourth, and then arcing the car in. So for the Porsche curves here, I tend to be in fourth gear through the whole thing on my own. I think that works best. Manual with clutch downshifting, where I would normally downshift, exiting the Porsche curves into third, is a little problematic. I haven't smoothed that out, but I think on your own, if you've got the line right and you're just balancing the car with the throttle, let the car do the work through here. You should be able to do it in the fourth gear the whole way through. If you want to downshift it to third and you're more comfortable in third, that's fine. Just know that in third gear, since the RPM is going to be a little higher, balancing the car, the weight shift's going to be a little more dramatic. And I'll try and do it both ways, just so maybe you can see what that looks like. But for me, it's usually fourth gear. And again, as I'm turning in, if I'm turning in for the corner, I'm letting out of the throttle. Maybe even going completely out of throttle to get to apex, roll back in, bring it all the way out, release the throttle, roll out of the throttle, roll back into the throttle, roll out of the throttle. For this one, I'm going to try and hug the inside all the way through, keep it to the right on the exit. This is where normally I would downshift to third, but sometimes, depending on what I'm doing with the steering wheel or where I'm at with the throttle, sometimes the back end on that downshift gets unsettled. But again, this might be a quick brush of the brake, maybe. Turn in here, you can use a little bit. This curving on the inside, still fourth gear. Be careful getting too far out here. I think we've all hit these here. These are really designed to discourage people from crossing over the line. But try and be neat and tidy on the exit of the Porsche curves, and don't get on the rumble strips on the outside. It can unsettle the car, and it might even careen you back across the track. I've been kind of fortunate in my own practice, but I wouldn't be surprised if I even do that in the race. Usually then I'll keep it to the right here. I might cheat a little bit, bring it up, open it up. Still for the well, not the Ford chicane, not yet. Third gear. Now you can wind it up. If you leave it in fourth, you'll wind the fourth gear up. You might be hitting the rev limiter just as you're getting to the breaking point for the Ford chicanes. I think I'll put it in fifth, just for rhythm. Braking is somewhere between where the start of the pit lane exit, where the pit lane exit lane starts, and the point there where the yellow curbing starts. I think if you're going to brake at the yellow curbing, it's probably a little too late. You're probably about halfway, 2/3 of the way, maybe about here. So again, fourth or fifth gear. For me, the Ford chicane, the entry is third gear. And again, balancing the throttle. And I might, depending on if I'm in rhythm or not, a lot of times what I'm trying to do with the car and using the throttle to help with the weight shift is I might goose the throttle a little bit or release it, do a quick release as I turn in. Again, it's trying to get the weight to shift to the front a little more quickly, especially when I'm turning in. It gets it on the right front. It's kind of using the weight shift to kind of help rotate the car. And it's really for that second part of the chicane. And then I'll hopefully, because I can get it rotated a little quicker, I can get back to the throttle quicker. But still in third gear, bring the car out. Try and keep it to the right. This is down to second, especially this one. Might be here. I might roll on the throttle, release, and then again the weight shift will get the front to bite a little bit more, so I can get the car rotated through here. The back end might want to slide a little bit, and out, trying to stay off the curbing if I can, and out back onto the front stretch. And that's a lap of Le Mans in 28 minutes. Though I think in the race we're going to be going a little bit quicker than that. So that's kind of what how I approach Le Mans. And then again, I'm kind of doing it at slow speed. I might notice other things once I get back up to speed in the mock race, but let's go ahead and do that. First, I want to change my assists back because like manual clutch sing, and let's finish the same class of cars, same bucket delays. I think for this one, I'm actually going to start. So again, still going to have the prototype racing group start up front, followed by the Formula 70s, 30 seconds back. I'm going to have then the Forza P2 start just about a minute back, and then I'm gonna, even though I'm gonna get released at, actually that's release you guys at 60 seconds. Well, I'm actually gonna wait an additional 30 seconds, and we'll start a minute and a half behind them. And I think, just based off my own laps, 10 laps might, for the mock race, I'm gonna do 10 laps. Well, we'll see what the end race time looks like, but I think for Thursday's race, 20 might be one or two laps too many. So it might be 18 to 20, depending on how long it takes. But anyhow, enough of me talking. Let me go ahead and finish setting that. And let's go ahead and start the race. The other assumption I'm making is because it wasn't specified in the spreadsheet that we are racing daytime. I don't think Matt's going to be that cruel and make us race at night. Oh, hello. Oh, you put me in front of him. I'll get out of the way. That's why I had them at 59. But I don't think he's so cruel as to make us race in the rain. This car's tricky enough as it is. I don't think we need rain in the forecast to make lives more difficult. The other thing we're going to try and do is I know in my own test race that the Nissan Can-Am car that's in the prototype racing group, actually, if I can catch one of those getting onto the Mulsanne, that's a great car to kind of show off the drafting and the speed difference. So hopefully that will occur. If not, we'll make do with the cars that I get out of these things. Okay, enough of that. All right, here we go. One. Okay, so again, I'm going to cheat a little bit to the left here. Look at that white hash mark. Use the throttle. Gently turn the car in. Here. Oh, cold tires. I'll get that better next lap. A little bit late there, but again, it's usually it takes me a lap or two to kind of get up to rhythm. And onto the Mulsanne. Actually, I'm going to move it here just so you can see this lap. How much bumps we can count on the inside as we go past the first. I think this is the Forza chicane now. You can see a little bit of a bump, but it's not dramatic. It's not going to send you careening across the track. These next ones might be a little unnerving the first time you go over them. Here, bumpy. So yeah, that might be, it'll take you a lap or two to get used to that. But again, Be very smooth with your steering. It shouldn't be any problems getting in. A little late on the brakes. Line was semi-decent, but a little too late getting the. Three. That was not ideal, but it worked. On these laps, you know, it's one of those. I don't know if I can intentionally hit that bump or not, but I'll try and start cheating out there just so you can see what the car does when you hit it. Why don't I just let the throttle roll back in? Oh, throttle back in. Again, just let the car do. Just balance the throttle and let the car do the work. Almost turned in too early and got a time penalty. Well, I won't get a time penalty here. I would on Thursday. Good thing to notice on that first turn, and there's a time penalty. Just listen to what the front tires are doing, especially in that first turn. Because you'll hear them actually, when the car, I guess the right term is like takes a set, when the weight finishes transferring, you'll hear the fronts kind of squeal, a little bit of a noise on the front, and that way you kind of know, all right, the weight's fully transferred and I'm starting to scrub the front. Kind of it's hard to me to talk about it after it's happened, and we'll listen for it next time. If I remember correctly, let's see. All right, so I'm red. Blue was the prototype racing group. Green was Formula 70s, and then the gold was the Dunes. Okay, Formula 70s car that again, I can outrun him. I've got better top end. He can out-corner me. He can out-accelerate me, but I've got a higher top end. Checking. Let's see if I can do this a little better. Yeah, so best to brake at the start of, brake at the start of that blue and yellow curbing. But as far as aiming, as far as, where you want to apex there, it's the end of that blue and yellow curbing. Okay, look, 3. Way late there. You can hear You can hear when the car on the initial start turn in, you won't hear the tires doing all that much, and then kind of like when the weight shift kind of sets, then you'll start to hear the tires make a little bit more noise. When I go off throttle, just listen for the tires. When I start to turn, you won't hear much of anything, but then when the weight shift finishes, you'll start to hear them. Yeah, I'm gonna outrun you. One's behind me, Brabham in front of me. And I'm easily gonna get by him before the fun part. Bye-bye. Bumpity. I'll try that on the right side, see what the difference is. I still think it's just best to take the normal line through there. A little wobbly. You see, by doing that, it's like once you turn in, you got the turn in right, even though the braking line says, "Oh no, slow down," you can easily go back to full throttle through there. Be careful that if you've got somebody right in front of you that isn't doing that, closure rate pretty high. That was some front splitter damage. We don't run damage. Ooh, I wasn't expecting that. That was luck. There was no skill in that. That was all luck. That's the McLaren up there, and looked like it was by the. Oh, I got the entry done well there. Just straightened out on the exit. That should make for a good fifth lap, hopefully. Oh no, it's the big pig. That was not with entry. Ooh. Wow. Wonder what. Let's see. I'll have to save the replay. Let's find out what happened there. Somebody murdered the Ford there. I was hoping to be a little bit closer to the Shelby, but nope. And that car is actually, I think it's kind of funny. The prototype racing group here, again, it's the contrast. I kill them in the corners, but a couple of them can outrun me on the straight, even though I've got the higher PI. Again, running higher downforce, so I think I hit that arrow wall that they don't. P2 cars, I think generally it's the opposite. I definitely outrun them on the straight, but they will kill me in any of the corners. And the Formula 70s, I think, are just kind of similar. P2s, though maybe not quite as fast on. Uh-oh. All right, I got to pause here for a second. All right, audio is going to go funky because I just noticed that, yeah, my battery's about dead. So, slight pause for station identification. back, hopefully. All right, let's keep going here. Sorry about that. Usually I'm better about making sure batteries are charged. Guess there was less charge in the controller than I thought there could have been. But excuse me. Up a little bit there, and I don't know if you noticed, there did hit a little bit of that bump, but not so severely that it pitched the car sideways. I'll try and make that happen before the end of the race. But just know that Arnage, there's something weird there. Kind of like Prague when I think it's Prague reverse, when you're getting when you're kind of making that right-hander onto the bridge, there's a weird little bump at the beginning of the bridge that can completely throw the car into the wall. Okay, hopefully you're not going to go into the pit. Excuse me. So going into the pits, I leave it in fourth. Brake down to second. Excuse me, you're going too slow. Then brake here. That was a little too late, and it'll catch you just as you go under the the boom there for the camera. Yeah, and actually, I think there's less tire barriers there if on race night, so you'll have a little more room, I think, to get through there. Hopefully we'll have some people here to race. Again, I can't take the proper pit lane exit that we'll take on Thursday, but I'm going to try and keep it to the right. I don't screw too many people up while I get back at speed. Again, just on the throttle as I turn in, just release the throttle, it just helps the car stay settled. It's so nice when I can get Tete Rouge right, at least right in my brain. So Diesel Mazda, pardon me, excuse me. We've got some good drafting here. Watch, as soon as I got up to 193, but as soon as I clear, you can see it'll just start to drop back down to 190. So, honestly, there's the Nissan. Is that the Nissan? I wish I could have caught him earlier. Hopefully there's another one of those out there somewhere that I can draft them myself. I wasn't sure if he was going to take the normal way out or... What am I doing? Third gear. Just totally late. Late on the braking. But, a lot of traffic this lap. Got on the brakes there a little bit for him. Didn't want to run him. Roll on. Yeah, about a second back, really not picking up the draft at this point. I am slowly creeping up on him, but you almost have to be within a half a second before the draft. You start feeling the draft there. Holy crap, here comes Porsche. Oh, and the Lola gets murdered into the tire barriers. That's the Ferrari P4. There you go. There's that bump. Not as severe. But you can kind of see how the car got really unsettled out there. So again, be careful. Let's see if I can get it right this time. That's better. A little late there. That's so nice of that Shelby to get out of my way. I'm in fifth. Why did I do that? So yeah, that's the other thing too is whereas other parts of the track really let you kind of abuse the track limit before it dings you, the game is pretty strict on the exit of Tete Rouge there. You really can't use as much of the exit road or the track limits as some of the other corners. Classic LMP2. Won't be that fast on the straight. Am I gonna? No, I'm not gonna try. I was catching it, but not. Turned it a little too early. Yeah, I was catching him, but it wasn't going to be enough to safely duck underneath him into the corner. So better to pass him here. I can get a little bit of a gap before the pusher curves, but I'm going to totally hold him up through the pusher curves. Maybe not. I thought he would be right on my butt. Oh, there he goes. Okay. How did I get the lead? For the test race I ran last night, just to kind of refresh my brain and try and figure out, good time gaps. It's like I think I would finish like 4th or 5th. But all right, well, that's Ferrari. Yep, that's Ferrari. Gonna pass me? Okay. I got somebody to race against. I'll catch him. I do want to put enough of a gap on him. I'd like to try and set a clean past that and see what. See how it plays out. Almost got a little too much. Throttle a little bit. That cost me. Probably lost a tenth there, banging the rev limiter and just not getting. Oh well, never mind. Last split was 4/10 up, and it's like, oh, I lost a tenth, and like, no, I somehow gained 3/10 somewhere else. Ooh, that was almost a dirty lap. And with fire there. Wobble. That tank lever cost me. That's still, I'm still up. Wait, what am I doing? Fourth gear, or fifth gear, no sixth. Stop talking. Hold up. Okay, I found more time. Maybe I should keep talking. Nah, I'll just keep driving. Final time through the Porsche curves, nice and smooth. Car do the work. Let the car do the work. There. So that's Le Mans, Old Mulsanne, and the GT40, what we'll be racing on Thursday. Again, it's a lot of. Again, the best recommendation I can make is on the Mulsanne. You know, in practice, if you can get into multiplayer, uh, practice drafting, and as a race strategy, it might be beneficial. Like if you've got somebody in your bucket that you guys are about equal pace, and you can hook up on the straight, you know, it'll be worth a little bit of time, you know, to get those couple extra miles an hour and work together to go down the Mulsanne versus trying to, you know, contest every part of that straightaway. And certainly, you know, for people that might be on the run on the Mulsanne, that's, you know, an advantage you can exploit. But you know, should be a good race. I'm hoping for a good race. This actually has been a pretty fun season. But with that, I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to end the stream and go about my Saturday. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday night. Happy racing.